lightning bolt, but only one Brian.
Only one Brian.
The Chippendale.
Are we
one.
going?
Yeah,
we
we're
live?
going. Yeah,
No.
not live, but yeah, we're
Live,
recording it.
live recording. Yeah, only one Brian.
What happened to Gibson?
He's just that was him in his underwear in here.
Yeah, I know, but
He's a little more camera shy sometimes, and sometimes we've taken to like he'll do an interview or I'll do an interview because we tend to like step on each other's toes or something when we're, which is sort of how we play in the band too.
Yeah.
We just play like both at the same time really loud, and we kind of do interviews the same way. So it's like it doesn't work as well as in an interview as it does.
It would be cool because I can't go to the mosh pit, which is really unfortunate. So maybe you could do one for me here, and now I don't have the chance.
I know, it's true. That's true. Well, yeah. Just you can use like you can do an editing program and put me over me, and it'll kind of be the same thing.
Since we're already going to the part of the show, you used to do those epic guerrilla shows at small places that you're pretty much known for that.
Yeah, right.
At the beginning. And
Yeah.
do you miss it?
I miss it some. I mean, I play solo shows, and so I tend to like set up on floor, set up in a weird place for the solo stuff. And occasionally Lightning Bolt still plays like on the floor somewhere in some smaller venue. But yeah, it became hard to do it all of the time for various reasons, just for bigger crowds and things like that. But yeah, I do miss it. I mean, it's part of the power of that time was like not as many people knew who we were. So, you know, we would have our stuff like hiding somewhere in the room, like under blankets, and we would actually surprise people.
But now you have different perspectives from the public experiences, because now people from the front row are doing the mosh pit as always and having that same experience, but people on the back are listening, something that almost didn't happen.
Yeah, we're communicating with like, hopefully with the full room now, where we used to, so, you know, now everyone gets like an equal sort of experience to some extent, where it used to be like people in the front got this like really intense experience, and there'd be this like gradation as it tapered off the further back you were like, I don't know what's going on. I mean, which was cool sometimes too. I mean, we still we played on the floor like a few weeks ago in a space in our town, and it was awesome. So, I mean, you know, when we can, we definitely try to play.
And I read somewhere that you kind of like start to get feedback from women that you didn't have, like from the shows, because they now can actually see it or they can appreciate it more.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's happened. And then like women, and then like various aged people, because the front row tends to be, I mean, there's definitely women in the front too who like,
Yeah,
but
because I like that kind of bikini kill feel, like women to the front.
yeah, right. No, there's always been girls there, but there is a majority of like, you know, young men who fight their way up and like are gonna hold their territory or something. And it's funny because we've been a band for over 20 years. So when we started, it was like our friends, and we were all like 21-year-old whatever we were around that age, and then like that stayed the same, you know. And so each year we get older, but then it's like that front row stays the same age, like same kind of style and everything. It's a strange thing being in a band. That, I mean, it's nice. It's, you know, if you're a band and your audience gets as old as you do, you're kind of like, this is great. It's very loyal, but it'd be nice if younger people came in. But we're lucky that younger people do come in.
You were more an improvisational, that's how you say it? Improvisational band.
Yeah, the songs are made out of, we don't write songs like, you know, in our house by ourselves or whatever. Like everything's made from playing together. So the songs come from like an organic process, and then I think that process is sort of echoed in, like you can feel that in the songs. And then there's like some spaces where we can kind of make stuff up within that. So
you also paint, right?
yeah, I do like paintings and drawings.
I love your drawings and your paintings. I just like, I would love to have like a full wall with those, the ones with a lot of color. I just fucking adore them.
Wow, thank you.
They're amazing. And how do they kind of like translate to the artwork of Lightning Bolt? Because I know they do.
Yeah, I mean it's a similar. I mean there's similarities. I mean it's all very energy oriented, like, you know, kind of bright, maybe a little spastic or something, or like it vibrates quickly. They're kind of dense, I guess, which Lightning Bolt's like a little, like, you know, there's a lot going on in a single moment. I mean, and all of that, I think it's like tools to get you involved in like in the music or the art, like it's like if you don't like it, you're sort of turned off pretty quick and you walk away. But if you give yourself, if you like let yourself into it, there's like so much there to experience that you can kind of get lost in it. I think both musically and for the art, it's like really trying to build like a large space, you know, so people can come in and get lost in it.
It's brilliant. Yeah, because the
That's
paintings.
what I say, but I'm not sure, you know, what's the reality?
No, because also the paintings are a really cool metaphor for your own music. Because when the way you say it, when I'm watching a painting, I always find different stuff in there because there are so many details and so many things happening that you first get that splash of color or that splash of something that you don't know exactly what it is, and then when you start to pick it up, and then you find a lot of
Tons
stuff.
of little
Details.
in the work.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, art and music are. I mean, you can craft a song and you can put a lot of little things in there, but at the end of the day, they are different creatures. Like, you know, music, especially live music, it's like it's there and it's gone or something. You know, it's this thing that it comes and it goes. Like the minute you hear it is the minute that it's left, or so. And then with art, it's at least making like a painting or a drawing, like it's there and it stays there. So unless you're making digital work or something that's, you know, moving or like changing, but paintings are very still by the nature. You know, they have an energy and a movement. Like you start to connect objects and move around them, but there is something different about them too. So it's interesting to just have different. You know, it's like you have to have your whatever, your protein and your grain or something. It's like nice in life to be able to sort of have a few things that fill a few different of the big whatever's necessary in your life. Fill a few of those things.
And let's talk a little bit of Fantasy Empire. It's your 7th album, but I feel it's more hi-fi than all the other ones. Can you tell me a little bit about the production? Do you like being in the studio, like in a traditional way?
Well, we never have, or I never have. So this was the first.
This was the first one you've been in, like a traditional way of recording?
Years ago, we did one of our first records, Ride the Sky. Like our first record was this yellow record. Then we did Ride the Sky. Ride the Sky was done in a traditional studio, but we didn't do it in a normal way. We still like played on top of each other, like, you know, squished up against each other. So there was not a whole lot of separation. But Fantasy Empire is the first time we've ever played where like his amps were in a different room than my drums, so there was like separation. So yeah, it's more hi-fi.
We can feel we can hear what you feel like when you're playing, but when you were recording it, I didn't
feel the same way that I would. Yeah, it's a weird. I mean, that's the decision that we made over the years. We've always been like, we want to play as good as we can. Like this entire situation is set up so we just play really good. And so the last couple, Earthly Delights and Hyper Magic Mountain, those ones were recorded just in our practice room. Because I was just like, this is where we're the most comfortable, like, and this is where these songs were created. Like we should record them here, and so they're gonna feel like as good as they can feel. But then the recording of them, like, it wasn't a great place for recording. So, you know, things were lost on the recording side, but like the playing was, you know, we're gonna play like 85% as good as we usually do, but then we have 100% control over how it's gonna sound. So yeah, it's like a line, and we like cross the line to the other side, which is the way most people use a studio, which is like not to document a live show, but to just embrace a studio and be, you know, studio about it or something. And it's fun. I don't love the studio. I don't know. It's
It doesn't come out to us like you would like the studio.
I'm like an impatient person, and I like to, you know, I like to play and then get it out and then move on to the next thing or something. And then with the studio, there's a lot of like, you gotta like redo things or listen, and I don't know. It's like Lightning Bolt. We practice pretty often, but we practice for like an hour and a half, and then we come back for an hour and a half the next day, and then a couple days later another hour and a half, and so it's not like we're just doing this one thing for. Like, we're in the studio, I'm always just like, I gotta go outside, like go for a bike ride, or I want to go draw. I don't know, I get really impatient. It's hard, and because I'm not good at the engineering aspect, so you spend a lot of time, you know, waiting for the engineer. Who, I mean, on Fantasy Empire, this guy Seth Manchester, who's a really good friend of ours, is the engineer, and he's like so fast. It's amazing. He like plays Pro Tools like he's playing a piano or something. So it was like the best it could be in terms of a studio. But I'm still, it's not my like, studios aren't necessarily where I would go on vacation or something. I want to go to like my favorite spot.
I'm just really curious about one thing. When you play with a mask, how the hell do you do that? It's kind of like, is it claustrophobic? It's claustrophobic for me too.
It's only claustrophobic every once in a while if it gets really hot and like wet. So certain, like if we're in like smushed into some tiny room where it gets really hot and it's like dripping. Yes, there comes a time when that thing can get a little, you're like, oh my God, I'm drowning in my own mask. But it's not. I don't know why. It's weird because I don't like to have like. It's a little bit of a part of me, yeah. Because I don't like to wear like too much clothing. Like I try to be really light when I play. Like I don't want, take everything out of your pockets. Like you want to be able to like really move, Yeah. But then I put this weird sock on my head, which is the opposite, with a cord hanging out attached to a pedal.
The thing you wear, it's like a telephone.
Yeah, it's an old phone. It's just like it's actually the earpiece for like old phones. And it it's just, I mean, when we started, it was a long time ago, and so you could find those phones anywhere. I would go to like a thrift shop and there'd be like a couple phones, and you'd buy a phone for $2 and then, so if it broke on tour, I would just find another one, or like you'd find we'd smash pay phones before and then steal the phones. I don't know. So there was like but now, you go to like a vintage store and they have like one $50 of those phones, that they're going to try to sell to like a hotel that's trying to look old or something. But you can also I found there's a distributor online where to replace those for the fancy hotel. So now I can finally, after like years of trying to steal them or grab them or find them, I now can order them. But it's these old, they're like from the 60s and the 50s, like the things that I get. Just these like round, kind of flatter microphones that fit comfortably in the mask. Yeah, and are very, they're light, and they sound pretty good.
That's the best way to defeat hipsters. It's the way.
Steal the phones from their vintage hotel lobbies or whatever. Yeah, maybe so. And also do it with like the worst. Like no matter how hipsters get, like they're still never gonna wear like the grossest weird sock on their head with a bunch of it's like a little too Slipknot for them or whatever. I don't know.
You're amazing. I was just stuck with you here, like.
Trying to fake me out. You were like,
no.
Station.